So be careful of what you say.
I do.
Sarah Jane's coming
Oh, she is coming. Good. She's
Next.
got all
next Tuesday. Yes, she got the passport.
right. And then won't we put a big tariff on her as she crosses the border?
Tariff on all of
May.
You never know.
Oh.
Maybe you have to have
That's
body
right.
searches.
Maybe she could bring some things with.
Maybe she could take some of you back.
That's true. That's the other option.
I was thinking, maybe check and see what my passport status is. But
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
actually, it may be expired since I probably had it when they
Yours.
when they got
Morning,
married.
Bill.
I don't know that I've renewed
Morning.
it since
Oh,
then.
God. Oh, you have to do it for 10 years at least. Yeah. For kids it's 5 years, but I think all adults it's 10. Yeah, because I remember I had mine done 2
Used
years
to be
ago.
anyway.
It used to be, yeah. I have to.
I don't.
Right.
Oh, Bill, I go.
Malcolm was about 2 for his first passport picture. He
One
sure
of
didn't
those
get a
kids.
smile. It was sullen. So cute.
Right. Well, that's why for children, yeah, they do it every 5 years.
That's a big change.
Big change.
Okay, well, let's get started.
Yeah.
I have to stop promptly, so let's.
Okay.
Reports? Questions? You're finding that mind-body connection? Getting the mind into the body? Or not?
Seeking. I'm a seeker.
That's a good way to describe it.
I do think the um, practices have elevated a level since we started talking about this. Um, but you know, as
Yep.
always, there's a ways to go.
Yes, there is. Um, there is no question there is no end to this practice. You can keep going as long as you're going. Or as I've told the story many times about the master who said to a complaining student, "What are you so worried about? You can't possibly learn everything you need to know in one lifetime."
That's right.
So, no questions or thoughts here.
No, I think that, it's a process, and I feel like I get it. It comes and goes.
Uh-huh.
But enough that it's a matter of the practice to just, kind of pulling it together.
Uh-huh. Good.
So I feel like that's,
Something
Oh,
is
Well, I was thinking in terms of the spiraling, twisting. Uh, I mean, I have my own images in my mind. It's been a while since we talked about that, and it might be helpful, at least for me, to hear a little bit more thoughts of mind intention with the in that area.
Mm.
Yeah. it, being able to tell whether you are actually doing twisting or not on Zoom is just not something I can do. So it's unfortunately I can't confirm one way or another because I can't see or touch you well enough on Zoom to do that. So you really kind of have to try to assess that yourself. I think you can be very clear about whether you're using your muscles to turn your arm, so just looking at the arm. We can feel that. We know we're contracting and releasing the muscles in order to do that. Can you also cause the arm to rotate without concentrating on the muscles, but creating the twisting motion, which is a release, a letting go, which is also true of lengthening. And so you have to find the difference there, and begin to be able to feel those structures underneath the skin beginning to cause the arm to rotate and eventually cause the energy to rotate. And once you can do that, once you can clearly feel the twisting actively working, then you can begin to think about spiraling. Because twisting is pretty much just turning, except not using the muscles in order to do it. There are other things involved here, the lengthening and the bending and stretching going on at the same time, which also are involved with moving the energy. But that gets concentrated and strengthened when you can begin to spiral. And spiral is specifically moving the energy from one point to another. It is not simply turning. It is, when you are spiraling, you're sending the energy out through your fingertips and you're drawing it back in, and it is now moving around your arm. So it's going clockwise going out and counterclockwise coming back in. It can do the opposite, but starting with that version is considerably easier.
Well, I feel a different thing if I'm doing it with my hand, with my arm, and one's clockwise and one's counterclockwise. But if I start the motion with my fingertips and think about it going out and start twisting out, it starts with my hands and then seems to intensify going on up my arm all the way through the shoulder. If I just think of rotating, everything starts rotating at once. That's a different sensation.
So this is really talking about what Bruce calls the pool ball effect as compared with the hose method. So we have to start with really kind of the concept of being able to move the energy from the spine to the shoulder to the elbow to the wrist to the fingertips and out, and then from the fingertips through the hand, through the wrist, the elbow, and the shoulder back to the spine. And that's kind of what he means by the pool ball method. But that's not obviously what we eventually want to arrive at, which is really what twisting encourages, which is that there is a constant flow. It's not just boom, 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 boom. It's but it's also actually going in, in and out at the same time. Also, um,
Right at that point of transition, so the way I'm hearing what you're saying, our goal would be sort of, we're twisting in and then we're twisting out as we go through all the other stuff that's going on at the transition. And so you're saying that the goal is to have that, not have that pool ball effect, but to have the fire hose effect where everything it's not starting somewhere, it's everywhere.
right.
Is that right?
It's continuous. So it's not intermittent, it's constant. And one of the challenges when you begin to think about that is learning to make that transition from one direction to the other without having any pause occur. So it's very easy to get into sending the energy out and then drawing the energy back in, but that's not what we want to happen. It's part of why Master Joe constantly emphasized round your corners. Every transition has to be round. Has to have that's a lot of what we've been talking about in Gods, in all the transitions of finding out how do you round those transitions, whether it's the simple one of two and those endpoints, how do you get those to round? How do you do it in five? How do you get five to continuously round, but do all of the things you want to do? No pause of any kind.
What about 7?
What about 7?
No pause of any kind.
Because if you're going one way and then then you need to go to the other.
Well, when
So you do.
you're talking about when you change direction.
Yeah.
So, so if you're completing one here, the other one starts by going through a
So there's
rounding.
a little
rounds.
loop up there.
Yeah, a little loop.
Okay.
It's that little loop is what, particularly for you guys, that you're looking for often in the form.
Mm-hmm.
Because you want the same thing. You don't want.
Yeah, it's not my head. It's doing it.
I'm sorry?
It's everything that's doing it in the form. It's adding a little loop.
Feels different.
Centering around the head is different.
Yeah. Did that answer your question at all, Bill?
Yeah, yeah. I have more questions, but I won't. They'll
Always.
Well, that's all right. You
Always.
can ask more questions. That's
Yeah,
okay.
this is good. No, but yeah.
I mean, that's
Well, I'll go for just one more question.
Okay.
So as we're going through this, like the intensity of the energy movement, I've been thinking, and I'm starting to reverse my thinking as we're having this conversation. But I've been thinking, as I go out fully, that's sort of the maximum yang, and then transitioning back and curling in, then this is a maximum yin. But I'm thinking there's not really a maximum minimum transition.
70%.
Is that How do you think about that? Is it a growing intensity of the energy going out, or is it okay?
well.
Now the energy's
If you
transitioned
look
and
at
it's going out.
if you look at the Tai Chi 2, the yin-yang diagram.
Mhm.
Yang or yin are not at the same fullness all the time. They are in constant change. Yin is tiny and grows to its fullness, containing a dot of yang, tiny bit of yang, which grows to its fullness.
Mhm.
So, no, the energy is not always at the same fullness, if you will, but it's constantly growing, changing and growing, transitioning from one to the
You
other.
know, what you just said, I think is great. When you're doing the eight gates, I'm thinking about the Tai Chi too, and where we're at with that mix of energy all the time. And I have not been doing that with gods. Um,
Mm,
I haven't been relating to the Tai Chi too.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, not at a conscious level.
yeah. You know, if you go, um, I have a class where we're focusing on Master Joe's Eight Gates training, which a big chunk of it is doing Chensa Jin in about 100 variations.
Whoa.
But what is constantly happening in that, if you remember back to when you were working on Chensa Jin at some point, is that you're at the fullness of yin at this point, and then you're at the fullness of yang, and then you go into yin and out to yang. And so there's a constant change. If we, and it's much more than just the arm, as is true in everything that we're doing, but if you think about it, the arm is bent in and twisted in at yin, and it's extended out and twisted out at yang,
Mhm.
and then it twists and bends in, and it twists and bends out. And you can think about any of the principles here that you're working, but it's that constant change. It never stops, and it goes from one fullness to the next fullness. But it's a transition. Yang grows, yin grows, and that's one thing to remember, of course, is that yin is not weak. Yin is just a different energy.
Mhm. Mhm.
So did that confuse things for you, Bill?
No, I'm
No,
looking
it's
right, and for me, I'm kind of like, oh, click.
just say more, Joanne. How about click?
Well, I'm looking at the image. We need to move the move the.
The Tai Chi too.
I'm looking at the Tai Chi Chu on the wall,
Wall.
and so
Okay.
as David is showing us, yes, that's a good idea, David. As David is showing us, then in my yes, I can understand. You don't transition from yin to yang or yang to yin at its both at their fullness.
No.
When one is at their fullness, then and you transition, then it grows, right? So it's a
Right.
constant growing
Yep.
back and forth, which
Yeah.
we see
Yeah.
from that.
Which is somewhat what you were feeling about it being the fullness out
Yes.
there, and the
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
it's just that
Right.
this adds the rounding dimension to it,
Yeah.
and the continuous.
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
So it's not pointy.
Right.
No, it's not.
Even on 3D.
Okay,
square
well, I'm
root.
good for
So,
that. So now we just have to add the five elements and we're all set, right?
yeah.
Nothing to it.
Nothing to it. That's the third or fourth life.
Yeah. Well, yes, you can go back to the and work on the five elements or the 8 gates.
Yeah. Mhm.
There are lots of ways to approach it. So, want to ask another one, Bill?
No,
That was very helpful.
it's already 20 after.
No, but that's
No
all part
problem.
of practice.
Have I confused you?
No, no, I think this opens a whole new, uh, you know, it's good.
You know, this is also related to um, thinking of gods and everything else too. But we're working with these 8 energy bodies. And they exist out here, but they also exist inside you. So you can think about the etheric body as the yang expansion and the yin contraction. Um, it, it it applies to everything, and it's part of actually the major, to me, one of the major things that we're talking about with the yin yang diagram is the fact of constant change. Nothing remains the same. We would like, as human beings, often to get things to stop and be under control and stay in one way, but it doesn't. Nature doesn't stop in any spot. It continuously changes. And then the reality is that we're part of nature. And we have to learn to accept and flow with that constant change. And that's what we're trying to learn with all the things we're doing, is how to live our lives in happy and fruitful constant change. Another aspect. So, intent. So, I want to add intent into what we've been working on. So, we will do so. So, we start with, you have a body and a mind, and you're trying to get them to work together. And eventually, you're going to direct your mind to do things with your spirit, your consciousness, your awareness, whatever you want to call them. And when you get to that point, the next thing that's going to occur is that you're going to have to get your intent to somehow be able to be focused and continuous. Now, when you can really put your mind inside your body and move your intent to your fingertips, you should get a concrete feeling of something moving through your arm. And likewise, if you bring it back, you should get a concrete feeling. And if you make your mind a little bit lighter, you probably have a much better chance of actually feeling the chi that the intent of your mind is activating inside your body. So the way in which you'll know if you're moving chi is that at some point in doing all these motions with just your mind alone, you can get the chi to go from your shoulder to your fingertips and come right back. And it'll be concrete. It won't be ambiguous. And it is going to, and it isn't going to matter how much of your intent is going through your body, because your intent is like the Kickstarter to get the chi itself flowing. And that's what is really happening. That's when you're directly moving chi. So intent is indirect. It's not moving the chi itself. It's moving your intention for that chi to move through your body. And this is primarily what all visualizations do. When you get to the real stuff, you directly move the chi through your body. So we're going to play with this a bit. So yes, stand up. Just stand in your basic structure, and what I'd like you to do is to bring both arms out with the elbows bent about 70%, and keep your elbow fixed so that it's facing perpendicular to the ground. You can easily bend and straighten the rest of the arm 70%. Now I want you to begin by paying attention to the feeling in the crook of your elbow. Let your mind become very quiet and relaxed so you can feel the crook of your elbow better. Let your mind settle there. So we have two things that we're looking for. We want to get our chi to our fingertips. But if you are starting from the shoulder, it has to go through your elbow, because of course it's in the middle. So as you extend and straighten your arm forward, focus on the crook of your elbow. When you bring it back, focus on the crook of your elbow. Just do that a few times. The next thing is to feel your mind going through the crook of your elbow into your hand. And then feel it coming back Feel it go through the crook of your elbow to your shoulder. Now, as you extend forward, feel your intent going through the center of your elbow joint and then going out to your fingertips. And then bring your intent in from your fingertips through the crook of your elbow and back to your shoulder. And pause for a moment, let your arms relax. So we're going to go into this more clearly. We will also be going into how the fascia of your arm is going to move because the chi is going to travel along the fascia of your arm. And when you're really doing this, the ligaments of your arm are going to be moving. And then if you're really doing this, the blood flow is going to increase in both directions as you're moving it. This is because your blood and your chi are always traveling together. So stand again in your basic structure. Let your quad relax. And breathe. And now I want you just to put one arm up. Straight out in front of you, with the elbow down, and extend it out about 70%. So the first thing you're going to do is get your mind inside your body. Feel your mind inside your body. And pay attention to the feeling in the crook of your elbow. Let your mind become very quiet and relaxed so you can feel the crook of your elbow better. we're looking for two things. We want to get our chi to our fingertips. But if you're starting from the shoulder, it has to go through your elbow. So feel the crook of your elbow. And then make your mind move inside your body all the way to the crook of your elbow. And then have your mind move back to your shoulder. And make your mind go forward and back from the shoulder to the crook of your elbow several times. Now do the same thing, but move your mind from the shoulder to the middle of your elbow joint. And go back and forth from there. And then see if you can get your mind to go all the way from your shoulder through the crook of your elbow and the center of the elbow joint to your fingertips. And now switch arms. Begin again by feeling the crook of your elbow. And your elbow joint. Feel your mind extend from your shoulder to the elbow joint. And back and forth. Then get the mind to move from the shoulder through the crook of your elbow, through the elbow joint to your fingertips and back. if your intent is moving through your body, you should be getting some kind of sensation. Forget about if it is a sensation of chi. Just your mind going through your body is going to be activating a lot of nerves. That's going to generate sensation. Now go back to your first arm. So now you want to go from your spine and see if you can get your mind inside your arm, inside of it. And see if you can get your mind to go through your elbow joint and then bring it back to your spine. And eventually you want to do this until it becomes a normal thing, not strange. Now from the spine, go through the center of the elbow joint and feel the crook of your elbow as you go all the way to your fingertips. And then back to your spine. And again, switch arms. And get your mind inside your arm. Get your mind to move from your spine through your elbow joint and the crook of your elbow. Then get your mind to move inside your arm from the spine, through the elbow joint and the crook of the elbow to your fingertips and back. And switch arms. From this position, you're going to do the same thing, except as you straighten your arm, you're going to move your mind from the spine through the shoulder, through the elbow joint, and through the crook of your elbow to the fingertips. And when you're coming back, bending the arm, your mind is coming back from the fingertips through the elbow joint and the crook of the elbow, through the shoulder to the spine. And as you extend forward, feel your intent going through each joint and then going out to the fingertips. And then bringing it from your fingertips through the center of your elbow joint back to your shoulder and spine. Remember, you're only bending and extending 70%. Switch arms and do that on the other side. And keep in your mind, this would be exactly the same if your hand was bending in any direction. It wouldn't matter what the direction of the movement was. So now, if you've been doing this like the pool balls, eventually you want the movement through the arm to be like water. Getting the flow to be continuous all the way to your fingers. So just see if you can keep it going. And then pull it back in a continuous flow. And then have your mind just keep the flow going and help push it all the way out. And then just make sure you pull it all the way back in. And now do that with the other arm. Pause and relax your arm for a minute. And then whenever you want to begin, I want you just to do 20 repetitions of movement 2. Just movement 2. And see if you can get your mind and your intent to move through your arms from your spine to your fingertips as you go out, and from your fingertips to your spine as you come in to your dantian. And be aware of the sensations that this causes. And notice what is different and what is the same. ready, you can sit. So how was that?
Powerful. I think that I have always been challenged about feeling the chi through the elbow. I think starting with a focus on the crook was helpful. And then eventually I got to the point where I could really feel it. And there was almost a sensation of the elbow joint and the kind of the yang points being really warm and kind of not quite a cold feeling in the yang, but a different feeling, but definitely a different feel of the chi.
Hmm. Hmm. Anyone else?
I think I could feel the yin going through the elbow more, but the yang not so much. It seemed to start to be all out in the forearm.
Mm.
Um,
Hmm. In a way, I think that's a positive because generally we feel the yang more easily than the yin.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm thinking it's because I think of my elbow. I don't think so much of this hard point. I think of when bends, I think of the inside.
Okay.
Uh, it's an interesting feel. Depending on how you have your arm turned, all the ligaments work totally differently in your elbow.
mm-hmm.
So,
And the crook is here,
Yeah.
and the joint is
In the middle.
here.
In the mid, yeah, right. A little further in. Right, you can't
The
just
crook
think
is
of it
more
as the tip.
More surface. Yeah.
Say that again. The what?
The crook is more
Oh yeah.
surface.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anything for you, Bill Nagel?
Uh, I had a pretty good flow of sensation, chi going on. Um, Especially when I remembered to keep my shoulder down.
Helps.
Indeed.
Um, and I will say that when you added the spine right in that area, when you added the spine to what we were doing, I also had about an equal flow of energy in my legs up
Mm-hmm.
Good.
the quad and lower dantian, and that remained. So I had it going on in the arms and legs, which was nice to feel.
Good. Yep. Good.
Yeah, I did too. I had a hard time separating. I mean, it's kind of moved to that point, progressed to that point.
So obviously, you can do this in other movements in Gods, in addition to two, and it'll be a little different.
Mm.
So really trying to begin to open to allowing this to happen throughout the entire practice.
In doing the flow, I was more aware of it going out, and it was less on the coming in part.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Mine fluctuated. Sometimes it felt like, oh.
And through most of it, I had to focus a whole lot on getting the shoulders someplace where they didn't hurt. So
the shoulders are, for me, I've been having a little pain right at the top of my spine, right below my neck. But yeah, so relaxing is, yeah.
And that's a reality for you, Carol. So you have to simply find where is the appropriate place for you.
Yeah, that first one where I was trying to be up here, my right shoulders, that.
No.
No. I don't have to be up there on that side.
No, you don't.
So it's a difference, yeah.
Yeah. Good.
I think the other thing that I became aware of in doing the flow is kind of where the chi is in the elbow in doing number two.
Mm-hmm.
I just had kind of never, kind of like it was there, or I was trying to, the intent of it, but more the feel of it and the awareness of it. Yeah.
Yep. Good. Okay. Well, that'll give you something to play with this week, or this lifetime. Any other thoughts or comments at the moment, or questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great week. This is the first class of a new session, by the way. If you missed my note.
Okay.
Thanks.
And
Stand
I will
here.
not be here next week.
Okay.
Oh, Carol.
Well, that will be the first morning after Sarah Jane arrives.
Oh, well, yeah, that's
So
understandable.
We'll be
no.
dealing with breakfasts.
Yes, you should be. Spend
Yeah.
all the time you can. Yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah.
So perhaps for the 14-year-old who will get up when he gets up.
Well, and they're on another time zone, so.
True. Email.
I have a friend who just moved out there, and she was on a Zoom call, and she's like, and she took a remote job after she moved out, because her job here was very hands-on, on Eastern time. So she's like, whoa. If work starts at 9, you're like going to be ready at 6. Ouch.
Yeah.
But you've done it. True.
But you're done. That's right. So we have a meeting at 5, and it's like, yeah, right. Yeah, it's very different. Yeah. Anyway.
You're too international.
Oh, I have been on many, it's not unusual for me to be on calls with people over 12 time zones. So
Yeah.
trying to organize when you've got someone in Seoul and someone in Nepal.
And someone here.
And us here. And right, usually in the US, most of us who do the international work I'm doing now are East Coasters. So at least we're kind of in that time zone. But then we've got people from Colombia. I was on a webinar about Ukraine the other day, and yeah, there are people from Ukraine, there are people from Belarus. So what time of day do you do it so that people can come? It is, yeah, the faraway ones, Thailand, Seoul, you're really talking like 12-hour differences. And
Yeah.
Kind of 8 o'clock, you do it at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Basically. Can't do it really too much earlier or too much later, because you've also got a meeting where, yeah, you can't be, people don't want to be meeting after 10 p.m.
Understandable.
Yeah.
So, questions about the form?
No, I have to say I kept practice. You know, just getting the mind memory, getting it into my body. You know, it's always hard when you feel like, oh, I think I was doing something wrong, and now I'm trying to get it so I'm not like each time going, oh, God. Do it again. Do it again. Just kind of going over and over a few of them to just go, okay, no, just. But I don't know the questions specifically. I don't think.
Okay.
I haven't practiced much. I'm not sure what I was doing this past week, but I was either really busy in the morning and wiped out in the afternoon. And so I got up to do some God's practice, and I usually do some God's and then perform. And I know I'm not even awake.
If you're not, yeah.
I'm not asleep enough to sleep, but not awake enough to do anything that requires anything.
Right. Yeah, that was me on Saturday morning. I was very excited about doing it, but I got home from I went to see the film. It was over at 11 o'clock and in London. I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. Yeah, and I cannot practice if I don't practice in the morning. No matter how much I convince myself I will do it later, it is rare once I get kind of moving, and it's better for me in the morning.
Yeah, and I think that's true for most people.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, except if I have to be out of the house I'm just not willing to get up at 5:30.
Well, that's part, or I have a lot of early, these 8 o'clock meetings, because I'm meeting with,
Yeah.
if I've got an 8 o'clock meeting, then it's hard for me to get up and get ready and be awake enough for both things. But, yeah, and doing it when it's, just the beginning of the day is important. Not when your mind is full and then it takes a lot too much to get rid of it. Yeah. Don't turn the news on. Don't pay attention to nothing.
Oh boy.
Nope, not these days.
That's right.
No.
I have tried to ban morning news.
Yeah, no, you had said that, and that I have been finding that very. I mean, I kind of know what it's going to say anyway, so generally speaking.
I mean, we get enough anyway. I mean, it's just invading everything.
Well, there's always some new things. I feel like 75 to 80% of it's just kind of rehashing yesterday's stuff that you already heard anyway.
Yeah.
So okay, I don't need that. That's the kind of.
So,
traffic.
Because I have to stop
You have to end
promptly because I have a doctor appointment.
Yep.
Why don't you begin at the beginning of the second paragraph and flow up through wave hands, and then I promised we would go on.
We did a little going on last week.
Did we?
Just a little bit.
Okay, how far did we go on? I guess I lost that.
I think to hear. We didn't kick yet. We haven't turned back around yet.
Oh, okay. Good. Well, let me see if you've got.
Let's see if we got that one. Ugh. I'll put this back here.
Starting at
Yep.
2, second
Yeah.
paragraph.
Lift hand.
Oh, right. I kept going back to the first one. Thank you.
Good. Definite improvements. I see progress. Don't rush wave hands.
Rush everything. I know.
Well, you were doing pretty well, and you got to wave hands, and
And
all
then
of
I
a
was like,
sudden,
boom, boom, boom.
you accelerated. So I don't think that needs to accelerate.
I do have a question though.
Yeah.
Again, I'm losing my my memory on the names, but when we come back, I feel like I lose I lose something here. I've been really working on that this week, but
Should we change it to the back?
yeah.
Yeah.
It just there's an energy. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if it's what I'm doing physically. It certainly feels like what I'm doing energetically. It's a little lost.
Yeah. So you've done that push out here, which is a stroke down, and here's a place where you really need to work on the rounding the corners. So you round back in, which allows you to bend in, and then you can go into tongue and G, and then come back in.
Okay. Yep.
And so you're trying to find in every corner. You want to try to to find a way to round it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
When you go into high pat from left hand, you can round that as you're twisting in, but then this tends to twist out a little more. You were kind of here, so you can let it twist out a little bit more out there. And when you, after you've gotten to there, one of the things to remember in that always seems to get lost in Subdued Tiger is that there is a real bending in and extending out, and it's small, it's subtle, it's not big because of where the hands are, the arms are. The hands are in the center at lower dantian and middle dantian. But you need to make sure that you get that bend in and extend out, and then into the kick, and then again bend in and extend out. That's the thing that I...
Yep.
Do you have other questions in there? Good. Okay. So after you do that second kick, you're going to step back and keep twisting in as you turn all the way around to the other side, and then go kick with the heel ideally and come back in. Now, and that's a place where, and this is, I have to admit, I'm not doing this very well anymore, but don't go out and then just come right back in. It's not out in, it's out and back in.
Right, yeah.
So that you have to curve that return, which allows you then to curve a little into the preparation for single whip, so you can keep it rounding all the way to its completion. Is that a question, Carol?
No, but I don't think my brain is capable of questions at the moment.
Oh, okay.
I do have a question though. In single whip, when so we're not facing this way. We're at an angle. Is that correct?
So instead of in the first one, we're here, slightly on the left foot, and turned just a little bit past straight ahead. But in this one, we're in a bow stance.
Right. Yep. Yep.
And again, the left hand is going out over the left foot. But you're not turning here.
Right. Yep.
You're turning here. Because
And
you
then
need
you have to turn,
that turn to do this. Good. And then you come up and step forward. And here, we too often just make it down. And that's not obviously what we do in Tai Chi. We need to find, how do you curve that a little? So it curves, and it's very subtle, it's very slight. The left hand goes down and pauses. I mean, it's carried on down by the body. The right fist is continuously moving through that. And then we come back out of that with a turn and step, and turn all the way to the other side into a blade strike.
Oh, all my questions were right after that.
Right after that.
The next few are like,
Really?
Oh, no.
The next few.
What? No, not
Save them for next week, but I'm not going to be here next week.
Well, we can not do that section.
Yeah.
Well, I don't feel like we should go further
Yeah.
with this at the moment.
Carol's like, please. No. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
Want to flow through it again up to there, just to
Get it in.
kind of cement.
Slowly.
Slowly?
If you got the
Yes.
time, you're the one with the.
time.
I have no idea what.
It's 21 past.
Oh, you've got time.
I
We've got
think
time.
that's my. I always have to add to my watch, so sometimes I don't do that because I didn't see it quick. Well, it's up to you, Dave.
No, I would like you to do it again if you.
And do it right. That's what I was like mixing paragraph 1 and 2 because I'm
Yeah.
so practicing paragraph 1. It's like, where am I?
Well, I figured with the time we had that we didn't need to do.
No, you're right.
The
Yeah,
first
yeah,
paragraph.
Yeah, I was like, okay, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
coming.
My brain
Um,
stopped halfway through, but.
That last chop is not here, it's here. It's a
Not
strike.
low.
It's
Uh-huh.
a strike to the neck or whatever.
Ah, okay.
Don't take it too far. Work on, for both of you, finding the circularity of the movement into subdued tiger.
Mm-hmm.
Because they tend to be this way instead of finding where
Uh-huh.
that
Uh-huh. Yep.
circle is in there. But good, that's coming. Keep working on slowing down.
Yeah,
right
I
hands.
was much better. I felt like I was much better at cloud hands. But yeah, just and the evenness. Yeah.
Yeah. And for you in wave hands, I think try to be a little more careful about keeping the ball turning. It tends to get stuck in a few places. That's tough. No, you're doing great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good class, guys.
Good class.
Yeah.
And when is next week? The 12th? I've lost track totally.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Rick
the 12th.
actually has an appointment I need to go to at 11, so I think I'll double check, so it makes more sense that I do it from home since
Yeah.
I can't get home by 11.
Well, she's not coming.
And you're not
so-
coming anyway, so yeah, we'll do that then.
Okay. I will
Yep.
see you on the box.
On the box. The little Zoom boxes.
Yeah.
All right, David.
All right,
Have
guys.
a good week.
Thanks. I will do my best. I'm
Yeah, looks like
feeling
yeah.
good right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's raining and it's
By the time I see you again, I will have kid it out.
Kid it out, hon. Get your fill. Get your fill. How old are the boys now?
14. Sarah Jane's are 14, 12, and 9. Hillary's are 14 and 10.
Wow.
So they'll all be there for a while? Great.
Yeah, Sarah Jane arrives supper time. They can get into Logan at 4-ish on Tuesday.
Well,
And Hillary's going to try to get here by noon on Wednesday, so that we have.
yep, great.
And then on Sunday, we're all going up to see my mom and everybody else.
Yeah.
And Sarah Jane, Hillary will drive home from there.
Yeah, right.
So
Nice.
in between, we have to find things.
Yeah.
One of the things we need to do is a visit to Gillette Castle.
Oh.
I don't think we can get into it this time.
I don't think you can. I think
Yeah.
it's like they do summer stuff and they do the Christmas stuff.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do some weekends, but they don't start until.
Hmm. But it's a fun place to
It's
be.
a fun place to
Still
be.
is,
Peek
yeah.
in the windows.
Exactly.
Walk around.
I have done that many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hillary had mentioned it to her husband. He does role-playing games
Mm.
and
Ah.
as a setting for a role-playing game.
Oh, yeah.
And then James said, "Oh wow, I really want to go see that."
Yeah. There's also, if you want lunch, have you ever been to Two Wrestling Cats? So if you keep going up, have you, David?